Yay, there you are.
Hi, friends. How are you?
Great. It's so great to
Wonderful.
have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm super grateful to be here.
Well,
Okay, I got a quick question. So, Chris, are you still in the Colorado area? Because there's like a massive storm that's outside my window.
No, so life threw me some lemons, and I pivoted Colorado to October, so it all worked in favor for me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that works for me too, because I was hoping to get together with you and grab some dinner or something.
Same. Yeah, I have to rebook flights and all the things, so I'll reach out and let you know what my travel plans are now.
Let me know. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you missed all these storms. So wonderful. All right, Charlie, do you want me to talk through all of his expertise?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Because there's a lot of it. It's good stuff.
No, it's a long list of things. All right, so Dr. Chris Culver is a dynamic and engaging keynote speaker. If you haven't heard him, you need to make sure you bring him in because he's phenomenal. Secondary principal and most recently as a cabinet level administrator. He's a former president of the Oklahoma Association for Bilingual Education and currently serves as vice president of the Oklahoma Assistance Education nonprofit. And if you need more information, this guy is everywhere on social media and does a phenomenal job, even on TikTok, right?
On TikTok, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And you do lives there too?
I do every day. Try to do about 90 minutes of positivity, motivation, spread some kindness, love, and light.
Yeah, I've jumped in a couple of those and you do a great job. So I'm always providing hope and love to so many folks in different ways, and love that you do that through TikTok. Of course, we'll throw in a bunch of links as we're talking. So Charlie, do you want to kick us off?
Absolutely. I can't wait to ask you these questions because when I hear you speak, it is so dynamic. And so everybody listen in, stop what you're doing and listen to what Chris has to say. Okay. Because this is about kindness. And you often say that kindness isn't fluff, it's science. All right. So I'm going to start there. But I want you to talk to us about like how understanding the science of kindness, how that shift can help schools approach behavior support and discipline, because we absolutely need a shift right now.
Yeah, so I think oftentimes we think, as a lot of speakers have shared tonight, that that something is one more thing. And that's what the perception is around kindness too. It's one more thing. But really, it's the thing. It's the theme that we've been talking and hearing about all night, is it makes people feel seen, heard, valued, and respected. And so when you think about the science of kindness, it's in the same areas of the brain associated with emotional regulation, with empathy, with decision making. And so when we think about...
I got it. I got you. Okay. Go ahead. It's what happened, and I had to mute somebody else, and it muted you.
Oh, I got you. Okay, anyway, no worries.
So you're back.
So also when we think about that piece of wanting to know that we are seeking connection and belonging, we are wired for control. And so when we think about trying to control behaviors, it's really a form of communication. And when we treat people the way we want to be treated and we operate with an empathetic lens, when we choose kindness, all of those pieces of our brain are fired up. So there's real science to this, and it's not delulu, it's not soft, it's not weak. It's the thing that we need to help move our schools forward, to help support teachers, and make students feel like they're seen, heard, valued, and respected, and truly part of our communities. It is a community of unity.
I love that so much. Okay, so what about the role of belonging? Like, what are some things that we can do as far as a school body to intentionally create that sense of connection for our students? Because we know that plays into student behavior.
Absolutely. One of the things that, couple things come to mind, but one of the things I love to do, even in my own classroom at the collegiate level, is we've all heard, I wish my teacher knew, right? What is it that I wish my teacher knew? I vulnerably start every semester with Dr. Culver wishes his students knew. And I tell my story vulnerably about my own journey and why I do what I do. And then I encourage students to do the exact same thing and to submit those assignments through our online platform. And what I'll tell you is we're all carrying an invisible backpack. We're all carrying something that we don't all see. And so what I'm able to unpack is what people want to share with me vulnerable about their own lives. They're going to be vulnerable in writing. The other piece is, Charlie and Josh, you guys have an amazing activity in your book around fork, dime, ball. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And one of the pieces that I love is that when we don't have all the information, we fill in the white noise with negativity. But when we help people see value and we connect with other folks in our classrooms, in our spaces, as a teacher, as a student, whatever, it makes us feel like we belong, we're seen, we're heard, we're valued, and respected. And so when you greet students at the door, that's fostering belonging. When you are asking students how they are, that's fostering belonging. But more than that, we know that some schools have still stayed in this in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension mindset, which we know is not working. If it did, we would not be having some of the conversations we're having today. But when those students come back, don't hold on to the past. Let them know you're grateful they're there today and it's a brand new day. Every day is a fresh start. Every day is a new chance to shine. Some kids are going to need 2 and 3, 4 chances. That's okay. We are the dealers of hope and belief. We get to be the ones that spread kindness to them. And it's a choice we make every single day. Kindness is not a personality trait. It's a choice you make daily.
Yeah, well, that's the truth. And so when we work with people who are so burned out, who don't feel like they have the capacity for kindness, I don't even want to say they're miserable. What I'm saying is they're struggling, and that shows up like they're miserable. Do you know what I'm saying? And so, like, oftentimes, like, I don't have the capacity for kindness, and that kind of just pours out of them. So my question to you then is about when they are feeling overwhelmed or burned out. How does that kindness first approach support the staff and actually improve behavior outcomes campus wide?
So we know that people who need kindness the most often show us in the most unkind ways. Again, it's a form of communication. And we are often to retreat to, I'm not going to be kind then. That's the opposite, though. We have to continue to push through with kindness and continue to make those connections, smile, talk to people, say hello, ask how they're doing, seek to understand. And I recently made a post on social media about how I was walking around the lake that's near my house. And the morning I was walking past folks, and if I didn't initiate the conversation, they just walked past me like it was no big deal. And if I initiated the conversation, they would respond back. They'd light up with a smile. They would say good morning. And so you could see the energy exchange between myself and them. And I thought, wow, it's that simple. It's saying good morning. Hey, how are you? And I think about if we did that with students or we did that with our colleagues, how powerful that would be. But it would also foster trust. Dr. Kelly Harding, who wrote The Rabbit Effect, The Science of Kindness, she shares that when we know 6 of our neighbors in our neighborhood, we feel like we're safe in our community. And I think about if we knew 6 of our classmates or 6 of our colleagues, would we have the same level of trust that would allow us to lean on folks so we're not so burned out? The other piece is we know we can't pour from an empty cup. So unless we're doing things that fill ourselves up, we're pouring from an empty cup and we're exhausted. And I know that we don't think we have any more time, but if you're able just to pace around the building for 5 minutes on your planning period, that resets you. Ideally, we'd love for people to get into nature for 20 minutes and to walk and to do something that brings them love, light, and joy. But if we're looking for just those small moments of bursts of hope, it can be a lap around the building. It can be putting your phone down. It can be these small shifts that we make throughout the day to help us feel not so burned out and not so stressed out. We can also find gratitude for all the things that are happening in our lives. It's easy to focus on all the things that we don't have, and every day may not be a great day, but there's something great in every single day. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we are the greatest thing of that day.
Wow.
I love that. All right. So you do a lot of research and you've been in a lot of schools all over this country. So what are some of the biggest myths about kindness that you've seen? And how do you reframe that mindset?
Yeah, I think we think kindness as sunshine and butterflies and rainbows and some words on the wall and some programs. And I was talking to someone earlier today about it's one day a week. And I think about when we have folks who are on weight loss journeys or trying to work out to gain muscle or whatever it may be, it's a continuous effort that we make over time. It's just like being a live TikTok host. I'm not going to lie. You don't get your videos pushed out unless you're daily posting so many times, right? It's through that repetition, or what Jim Collins says, the flywheel effect, right? When all of this works out, the momentum's going to build. So when we think about daily interactions that we have to take, it's daily things that we need to do. Kindness and these SEL programs are not done in isolation. It's day-to-day things. And one thing that I do every week, and I recognize I'm in a unique situation of not serving students daily in the face of face-to-face. So I do support learners online in a digital format through the college, but once a week we do meet in person. So on Thursdays, when we have class, I always start class with what are 3 things that you're grateful for? And I'm the 4th, and then we start class. And one week, I would skip that activity because I was late in traffic and I was wanting to maximize instructional time, right? All the things that we know to be true for educators. And a student raised her hand and she said, Dr. Culver, we didn't do our gratitude. We can't start. And I was shocked by just their excitement about it. And one thing that I didn't realize was from that, through our connection of sharing gratitude, 2 students had experienced death in the same week, and they wanted to express gratitude for one another in that space. And it's because of our activity, they were able to foster that connection. And so I think about how can we incorporate just moments of gratitude, 3 things. The other piece is Dr. Kathy Harmon and her research around mindset and mindfulness shares that even a 60-second reset can allow us the opportunity to be confident and competent. So how can we allow students just breathing activity time for 60 seconds to allow everyone the opportunity to be successful? P. Sloan tells us that We aren't able to control what happens before they come into our space, and we can't control when that happens when they leave our space, but we are responsible for what happens in our space. And so these activities allow everyone equal opportunity to be successful while offering connection, while fostering belonging and trust, and sprinkling kindness in for everyone to let them know they matter.
Yeah, and so like part of what I keep thinking about too is you use kindness, and I know that you're in a position to measure data. And so part of what I keep thinking about is if a school wanted to implement this and they wanted to measure the impact of kindness first, like that approach, what markers or indicators would you recommend that they track over time? How would you do that?
Absolutely. So the research is really supportive around kindness is going to increase motivation, reduce stress, reduce burnout. It's going to improve bottom lines if you're a business. It's going to improve attendance if you're in a school. So some of the things I would look at, if you currently have low retention, right? That's going to be a red flag that you'd want to look at. If you have high office referrals out of a certain classroom, that could be a thing that you're looking at. If it's campus wide, I will be super vulnerable and share that I worked for a school leader when I was an assistant principal who was a mix of Satan and Hitler. And that's hard to share. That's really hard to share. Nice person, but a really hard leader. And I thought I would never manifest the opportunity to work for that individual again. But life has a way of throwing us lemons. And so I was asked by the assistant superintendent to move back to that campus. And within the first 4 weeks of school, that campus had used over 800 days of suspension. And they did not think there was a problem. And I can tell you that there was a clear problem with the numbers there. And so if you're looking at data, that aspect, I think that's a red flag. I think when you're looking at attendance, if teachers are missing a lot of work, there's a problem. If students are missing a lot of school, there's a problem. If you're not seeing there's all these things compound, because if students don't feel like they matter, there's not a connection, there's not an environment, they're going home and telling their parents, hey, school sucks, everything sucks, my teacher sucks, everything, right? They don't feel like they're a part of it. The academics are never going to be there then. So until we get our culture rooted in kindness, where everyone's working together, because it's not kingdoms of queens and kings, it's a community of unity, that's when we're going to be able to see the academic outcomes we're all looking for.
That's awesome. So what would you say that the first 3 steps or first step that they should take then to do that?
I think one of the things that I loved earlier was the power of feedback. I love asking my students for feedback. When I was a site leader, I asked for feedback. When I was a district leader, I was asked for feedback. And I love it through the 3 questions. What do we keep doing? What do we start doing? What do we stop doing? I think the other piece is listening. These teachers, these students, this is a community. So listen to folks, let them tell you what's working, what's not working. But as you get that feedback, do not be deflective, do not be aggressive in your response. Truly seek to understand, assume positive intent, and ask questions. Because through that approach, we're all working collaboratively to bring kindness to the forefront and to allow us to know that we are all working in this together.
I want to go back real quick, Chris, to what you were talking about before about like when students are misbehaving or acting out, we usually default to more control and consequences. So as educators or maybe administrators, how do we like change that moment and really create it as an opportunity to build certain skills like empathy, regulation, or repair?
So when you ask, if a student's pissed off, let's just say it, right? And you ask them to go take for a walk, they're going to walk, but they're just as pissed as they were when you asked them to leave. You've given them nothing to change their mindset or their cognitive ability, right? Or their cognitive thinking, I'm so sorry. And so their emotional regulation's not there. Their prefrontal cortex is fired up, all the pieces. And so one of the things that I love to do is we have to help them have tasks. And so what is that? Is it saying the alphabet backwards? Is it counting your favorite colors? Is it identifying where's walls? I mean, there's so many things that we can do. Mad Libs, trivia, having a calming space, but giving students strategies that are not only applicable in our learning spaces, but when the crap hits the fan outside of school, they can pull these same strategies, calm themselves down, and don't escalate into other situations. And I'll be honest, even as an adult, I've had to use this in the airport recently with some recent travel situations. So it's not delusional to try these strategies as adults. And I think it's even more vulnerable and powerful when we talk about this to students or we model it for students.
Yeah. Well, it's really important that you said that. Can you give an example of what you did? What did you use in the airport to calm yourself down? I'm curious.
I did a 6-second pause.
I'm imagining what this looks like right now. So go ahead.
So I'll quickly tell the story. I was supposed to go to South Carolina to speak in July. I had travel delays. I ended up in Washington, D.C. My bags were in Virginia. And I was like, what is even happening? So at 2 a.m, I get off the airplane and the lady's trying to tell me that they're not going to give me a hotel or a food voucher or any of these things. And so I tell the lady, and I'm not necessarily proud of this, but it's the truth. I said, I'm a kindness researcher and kindness advocate. I got to step away for just a second to calm myself and I'll be right back. And so I just stepped away and I counted down from 6. And then I looked myself in the mirror and I was like, you got this, right? And I realized like my old self would have been to lose my marbles. But in this grand scheme of things, that was not going to change anything. I wasn't going to get a flight. I wasn't going to help be able to have any other resolution. But I will tell you the shift in my behavior and dynamic changed the dynamic between I and the employee. And I got the voucher for the hotel and the food. And so I'm not saying that's what's always going to happen. But I will say that I vulnerably have to count down. I have to give myself these strategies to calm down, to stay regulated in different stressful situations.
Yeah, I noticed that people do have more favorable outcomes when they are kind to the person who does need to give them something. So just, yeah, it can help you in life that way too. So I'm glad it was a better outcome for you.
Yeah, I was grateful.
That way. And you did make it. You did make it, right? Eventually.
I did not. I made it back home. But I did not make it to South Carolina. The travel gods were not in alignment. That's okay though. That's all right.
Well, that was in July and we're in a different spot now. Okay.
That's exactly it.
All right. So I would like to go back to kind of the leaders here. And again, we can be leaders of our classrooms too. So this appeals to everybody. But what about when you worry about focusing on kindness, that lowers expectation for kids' behavior, or that lowers expectations and there's not accountability? Because a lot of people want to be punitive. A lot of people are like, they got to pay for what they did though. So if you approach it with kindness, people think that you're letting people get away with stuff. So how do you deal with that?
Well, you are still holding people accountable, right? I think there's a fine line between being nice and being kind. Nice is people pleasing, saying the things that we want to hear, and being kind is doing it with heart and saying the truth. And so I think that we have to remember that our students have not had the opportunity, because we've moved away from a play-based childhood to a phone-based childhood, that they don't have a lot of the executive functioning skills that we may have had because of school. I think about when I was growing up, my mom said, don't come inside till the lights come on outside, right? Play outside as long as you can. And I don't know that I always was appreciative then, but I am now, because it taught me a lot about problem solving, conflict resolution, how to win, how to lose. And I know that teachers think it's one more thing, but until we teach our students these soft skills, they're not going to be successful. And I'll share vulnerably, I'm having to teach undergraduate and graduate students time management. And I know for a lot of us, we learned that in middle school. So if you just think about that from a perspective of we're teaching middle school traits in college, I could only imagine what's happening in middle school. And I was in a middle school during the pandemic. And so I know there was a shift in behaviors and mindsets. And what we have to remember is we have to teach our students these things. And it's once we have these foundational components met, that's when the learning is going to happen. And so when we treat people with respect, with dignity, and we build relationships and we foster trust, that stuff's not delusional. That's when the learning is going to happen, because when a student knows you care about them, they're more likely to take the risk. They're more likely to be engaged. And we, in our learning spaces and our classrooms as leaders, can encourage students for collaboration. I think the biggest misconception is we should still be sitting in rows. And the research is clear. Rows were only created in the 1960s for janitors to clean classrooms, not for anyone to do kind of learning. So when we set up these collaborative learning groups, we're starting to shift dichotomies and dynamics, and we're creating that culture of treating folks the way you want to be treated, all rooted in kindness. And it's going to be those small shifts that we talked about, but it's small intentional shifts that make a long-term impact.
All right. So what are some practices that you've seen like at the school level when you're working with folks, as far as it being embedded every single day? Because I know some, and we kind of touched on this, right? It's like, oh, it's an extra thing. But sometimes we can do this where it's just natural and it happens every single day through the entire campus and does change that culture. So can you just give us some examples that you've seen in schools?
Absolutely. Well, first off, for all of us, no matter if you're in school or not, you can smile every single day.
Yeah,
your smile has the ability to impact your friends as friends as friends. And the research says a smile can impact up 1,000 people a day. So if we're thinking about the power of a smile and what that can do for our schools that may not even have 1,000 students, one smile can transform the whole building, essentially, right? With the theory of the research. I think about saying good morning. I think about saying hello. I think about connecting with folks at that individual level. I had a school that not too long ago, I had recommended they try a graffiti wall. They were a middle school that was relaunching this kindness work into their building. And they launched a graffiti wall of kindness where kids would write kind notes, and it took off. And now they're all over the different halls. One of the things that I challenged the school with, though, is making sure that every student was represented on that poster, so no one felt like they didn't belong. And I will tell you, it was beautiful. The principal texted me and said, we went through and made sure every kid in that respective grade had something, and if not, we would put something up there so every kid was, I mean, I had tears and cries and all the things, right? Because I was like, this is it. Like, these small steps are not anything that's profound, but it really helps to foster that belonging, helps people feel seen, heard, valued, and respected in the space. And they're intentional. They're intentional in what they're doing with their time and their efforts.
Yeah, that's such a creative way too, and fun, right? That's going to be memorable forever for kids, forever. Okay, so can you tell us more about the work that you're doing with college students? Because I know you've mentioned that a couple of times.
Yeah, so I am working with new teachers going into the field of education, doing human development. So they do their student teaching internship in our course, and we talk about what it's like to navigate classrooms. And I will tell you, it was funny last semester when students like, yes, the students are going to come in and do all the assignments and do. I was like, okay, we'll see, right? I didn't play into the truth bombing yet. And after their first field experience, they'd come back and say, Dr. Culver, why didn't you tell us? And so I wanted them to live that, and it was more challenging than what I think they anticipated, what they expected. With the limited resources, they were navigating really wild behaviors in elementary. So we were talking through what does this look like? What does a calm down corner look like? How do we reset? How do we do with the students? And so it's been fun to stay active in that realm to keep me current in what's happening in classrooms. But at the same time, it's been cool to see them shift and get creative with like, okay, I'd want to know this, or how do we dive into this, and really creating those communities with students and teachers alike.
That is great. It's important work too. These new teachers need to be equipped. Absolutely. So I love it. Okay, so we put the free resource in there, the Science of Kindness handout, because you guys really need to click on that and check that out. Can you tell everybody how they can use this?
Absolutely. So this is all about cultivating compassion, bringing more supportive and kind communities in schools and workplaces. It's going to give you step-by-step strategies of what you can try, from like a gratitude jar or gratitude shout outs or the graffiti wall, how to foster belonging, how to do a keep, start, stop, how to do all of these moving pieces. This is just one of the many resources I have on my website. But this one's a great one because it's a multi-step. It gives you posters that you can include within your staff lounge, which is really cool to see. I think someone was sharing that as a speaker too, when they go around and see their posters up with their anchor charts. I thought the same when I was at a school and saw some of those. I was like, oh my gosh, that's mine, right? And it took me aback for a second, but I was excited. But those are embedded with this as well, and it just is a step-by-step guide of how to begin that process of cultivating courage and compassion and kindness, all within your respective space.
Yeah. By the way, when you guys click on it, like you get it right then. Like you get it. So click on it and look at it right now. It's really awesome. I mean, it looks so professional, but really easy to look at. And these ideas, I mean, it truly is a guide. Click on it. You'll see. Don't not click on it. Look at it now. Okay. All right. So is there anything else that you'd like to share? Like, what do you have going on? What else can we expect from you?
Yeah, there's lots of I was going to share, there's more free resources on my website. If you drop under resources, there's a new one as of 2 weeks ago called Be the Light. I'm on a new series all about being the light. I think it's easy to talk about what does kindness look like? What does it look like to be the light? But I want to give actionable strategies and insights and the research what that looks like. I have a book coming out in the summer I'm working on called Be the Light. That'll be published with Road to Awesome. So excited to bring that to fruition. I'm dabbling into corporate spaces. I mean, all the things that are just happening around kindness because it's so needed. And I think what's important to remember is we can't combat darkness with more darkness. We can combat darkness with light. And even the smallest flicker of light guides folks. And so sometimes your small flicker at school could be the light that's guiding students. And sometimes when we can't find the light, we can be the light, and the light that we're looking for sometimes is right side inside of us. So I appreciate everyone answering the call to serve, teach, and lead. And I'm grateful for everyone leading this work.
Okay, everything you're saying, like I'm just hanging off of it. And there's so many really great, I really do. And when I go to your website and when we go to your social media, we always see orange sparrow. You got to tell people what that means.
Absolutely. So orange is my favorite color. Like I love the color orange. I think it's bright and vibrant. So the meaning behind that is like bold. But a sparrow also teaches us to be humble and bold in our endeavors. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm on a mission to make kindness go viral. I'm being bold and courageous in my endeavors by stepping out there and leading this way. But I love it. And it's opened up a lot of doors and experiences and opportunities, connecting with folks and spreading kindness and trying to change the world one day at a time. And if we can be 1% better tomorrow than we were today, then that's what it's all about.
I love it. I love it. Josh, anything else you need to share or add?
No, I just love when your brain works overtime and it just short circuits. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah. That happens a lot.
No,
Well,
we
thank
just really
you.
appreciate
Yeah.
you, Chris, and all of the work you're doing. And I did not realize you were writing a book, so that's awesome. I can't wait to have see that out. And then Darren's going to be a part of this webinar, so he'll be with your friend Katie Kinder too. And so yeah, love
The
that
book
you
is a
guys are
funny
all together.
story. It's a hilarious life, how it pushes you to do things, right?
It is.
Well, I understand that. Yes,
Absolutely.
that's awesome. Okay.
Wow. Well, thank you. And you all really go right there and get that resource and go check all the stuff out on your website. I know you give a lot of people hope and you give a lot of people resources to truly be kind. You live it. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes.